Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Old Life, and welcome to installment number 33 of Viewers Knives. All these knives are made by you guys, the viewers of this channel, and it is really cool to see what you guys are making, and I'm honored to be able to share your work with everybody else. Let's get started. Alright, these first knives are sent to me from Matthias, and he is a 15-year-old knife maker from Austria. This first one here is a really cool looking kirdashi, and he made a nice leather sheath for it. And then also he sent some pictures of this camp knife made from a file. I think this is a great looking blade, very nicely done. He also has a few pictures in another email of a wooden knife, and that's actually a really good way to practice. You know, a lot of people maybe not think about that stuff, but you think about a new knife maker, some of the skills that you could learn from making a knife out of wood, they could be translated to metal too, and ultimately all the experience that you gain from making stuff helps with making other stuff. So I think this is really cool. Plus you have a gift or a knife that a child could play with and have fun. But Matthias, excellent work. Thank you for sharing this with us. This next knife we'll look at is sent to us from Lewis, and he is from Michigan. He's only been making knives for about a year, and he says he really enjoys it. And this one here he did is a Viking Six. He made this with 1095 high carbon steel, did an acid etch on it. The overall length is 10.5 inches with 5 3/4 inch blade length, and he used 5/32 thick material to do this. Now the scales were actually epoxy resin that he made with real seashells in there, and then he put everything together with brass pins. What a great looking blade. I can just see the extra attention to detail that you've done in making those scales, and just a fantastic looking blade. Also this leather sheath, he hand carved that himself. Just absolutely wonderful to see, and considering you've only been making knives for a year, this is very impressive work. Very nicely done. Thanks for sending these in. Next, we're going to go to South Africa, and Tim has been a jeweler for 24 years, and he's actually had his own jewelry business for the past 8 years. And it's just in the last 6 months he's been really interested and passionate about making knives. These knives look absolutely fantastic. The steel that he chooses to use is N690 stainless steel, and he likes to use a various assortment of exotic woods: wild olive, wild teak, pink ivory, sneezewood. I've never heard of that before, but he uses all those different woods with his handles for his handle material, and these are just excellent blades. The fit and the finish is very impressive. Tim, keep up the great work, and thank you for your kind words on the channel. I really appreciate it. From South Africa, let's go to Brazil. Luis Alberto is an electrical engineering student, and he started making knives. He's made 4 knives so far at the time of the email, and while he sent this email, he actually has some others in progress, some kitchen knives and daggers. I think these look really nice. He's typically done more of the bushcraft / hunting type knives, and the steel he likes to use is 5160 as well as some 1070. I think your work is looking excellent, and he's actually starting to sell some of these to some customers, so that is really cool to hear. Luis Alberto, thank you so much for sharing this with us, and I can't wait to see what you make in the future. This next knife was sent to me from Colin, and he's a 35-year-old from Mesa, Arizona. That's really cool because my parents live close to there. And this knife was the first knife that he'd actually made with some decent steel. He used the leaf spring steel from a 42 Willys Jeep, and then he treated it, learning all these methods on various places around YouTube. And he actually took this out and tested it, and his goal with this knife was to make a really rough, strong, robust knife that he can take camping and hunting and beat into logs and stuff. And he says that this knife is performing really well, and that is so cool to hear. He also says, with the kind of rough finish of the bevels, the rustic feel, he likes the fact that this knife will always be able to be something that he can look back at and see where he's come from. He's currently working on his next 3 projects, and that is really cool to see. He also made the leather sheath himself, and Colin, I think this is a great looking blade. Really cool to see your thoughts and how much you're enjoying making knives. So keep up the fantastic work, and thank you for sharing this with us. Let's head from Arizona to the southern part of England. Harry is a 17-year-old knife maker, and he's only been making knives for about 6 months. And I was really impressed with the fit and finish and the attention to detail that's gone into these blades for such a young man who's been doing this for such a short time. He hardens his steels with a homemade charcoal forge, and he likes to use 01 tool steel from Sheffield, England. One thing I really appreciate about his email is that he said that the tools that he's using, most of them are all inherited from his grandfather and great-grandfather, who are cabinet makers. And he says all the tools are over 100 years old and made from the world-famous Sheffield steel. So that is really cool. Harry, your work looks fantastic. These are excellent looking blades, and I'm excited to see you having so much fun and enjoying this craft. Thank you for sharing this with us. All right, well, we're going to keep jumping around the globe here in this episode. We're going to go to Germany. Max has been making knives for a while, and he just recently got himself a semi-professional belt grinder, and he started making knives with that. I really like the design aesthetic of his knives. They're very similar, they're very clean and tactical at the same time. I think it's just very, very well executed, and the look is something I personally am really drawn to, so very nice work there. He also mentioned that he saw my episode on the ceramic glass modification I made for my belt grinder, and he decided to do that too and sent me some pictures of how he did it. So I thought, you know what, that might be useful information for you guys. So here's a look at the way that he mounted his glass, ceramic glass platen. And if you don't know what these are, they're really excellent. They wear nice and they keep nice and flat much longer than a steel platen. He also did a glass top for his work surface, and I think that's a very interesting idea, something I'm going to look into myself. So Max, thank you for sharing this information. I'm sure our viewers will enjoy that, and these knives look excellent. This knife was the very first knife that Michael made. He used 1080 steel, it's sanded to 400, and he used micarta scales with vulcanized paper liners, and he also made those mosaic pins himself. Now, Michael is a 38-year-old active duty in the U.S. Army, so I have to say thank you so much for what you do, Michael. Absolutely appreciate what you do for your country, for the rest of the world. In your email here, Michael had mentioned that he's very thankful for what I do in this channel, but really is completely insignificant compared to what you're doing, Michael. So my hat's off to you. Thank you so much. Stay safe. This is a great looking knife, and I'm honored to share this knife. Thank you. This next knife was sent to me from Tyler, and this was his second attempt at making Damascus, and that's really, really impressive. He thought, you know what, since I've made this Damascus, I might as well make it into a knife, and so he made this. He calls it a pocket tanto cleaver thingy, and I think this looks absolutely excellent, very nicely done. Tyler, thank you so much for your wonderful email and your kind words. I really appreciate it, and excellent work on this knife. And we're going to wrap up this edition of Viewers Knives by heading back to South Africa. Brett had wanted to share two of the recent knives that he's worked on, and I really appreciate the honesty of his email. This first one here, he had heat treated it, and it developed a warp in it. And so we went out to straighten it. Well, you can see what happened. This can be incredibly disheartening, and I know because from experience this past year alone, I bet I've lost 5 to 10 blades. I don't know exactly how many, but a lot of blades from trying to straighten out warp. So I understand how frustrating it is, but keep at it, Brett. Keep going. And this happens every time. Take it as a lesson, learn from it, and then your next knife is going to be better. This next knife that he made, he was unsure of the steel, but he was able to get it nice and hard, and so he put a cowbone handle on it. And I really like that sweeping blade profile there, a nice robust handle. Brett, excellent work. Keep it up, and thank you so much for sending this in. A huge thank you to everybody for sending your knives in. I really appreciate that you let me share your work like this. I'm honored to do it, and I hope that you guys watching this enjoy this, hopefully find inspiration. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to leave some comments, show your support for other makers, and if you'd like to have your knife featured on this channel, just email me, jeremy@homesteadknives.com, and we will get it in the queue and share it on an upcoming episode of Viewers Knives. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.